This week I thought we'd take a step away from the computers and instead look at a classic console, the Sega Master System. I picked this one up from eBay a while ago, sold as spares and repairs, not turning on. The thing is though, I'm pretty sure it's not meant to rattle. So I think the first thing we should do here is take this apart. And there's supposed to be 6 screws in it. This one only has 3. Right, what's causing our rattle? Well, it would be that then. And if that is sitting there, where is our voltage regulator? Could it be that simple? You would have to assume someone has removed the voltage regulator because presumably it was faulty. But could it be as simple as that? If we fit a new one, will that bring this machine back to life? Surely not. I have a little bag of 7805s, so let's get one on there and see if that sorts it. Need to get the motherboard out though. The Sega Master System was actually my first console, albeit it was the Master System 2 that I had. You could argue though that this is the better machine, the older one, the original one. It has the card slot as well, but it also has the AV output, which natively gives you RGB. The Master System 2 only had an RF output, albeit on my Master System 2 I have modified it to give me composite as well. So just to be 100% sure that we're installing this thing in the correct orientation, the 3 pins are labelled ICO, so presumably input, common and output. The voltage regulator, looking at it like this, is input, common and output, but just to be 100% sure I am reading that correctly. On continuity, our input here should buzz through to there, and yes it does. And then the output pin, at that point we could just test that to any one of the capacitors. Yeah, that's fine as well. So at a glance you might assume that the pin closest to the power connector is the input, but no, it's not, it's the other one. Our voltage regulator goes in there like that. This can that was sitting over these components here was loose. Someone has desoldered that, so that may be an indication as to where a fault might possibly lie. The voltage regulator though, that is going to get quite hot fairly quickly. This thing that was rattling about is the heatsink for it, which when installed in the system sits like that. But it covers quite a few of the components in here, which we may need to test. So I noticed it has another threaded hole on it here, which just so happens to fit that screw as well. So I think what we'll do is mount that vertically like that. That will just stop our voltage regulator from getting too hot. Right, let's get some power into this thing. I'm just using a Mega Drive power adapter. You can use the one from the first Mega Drive, the Mega Drive 1. Like that, the Master System relies on a center negative supply. Right. Well, we're getting power. That's good. Let's just measure it quickly. At any one of our capacitors, doesn't really matter. And we're getting 5.09, 5.10. Yeah, that's okay. Let's hook up the AV and see if this thing is going to work. So we're just going into the capture device here on the PC. Power on. No video signal. So it isn't just as simple as a voltage regulator. I think what I'll do first here is just leave the power on for, say, 30 seconds or so, and see if any of these parts get overly hot. So we'll just turn the power off and then just feel around. Everything is stone cold. Well, there's a wee bit of heat in the processor, but nothing to worry about. Something is definitely wrong. I think it's time to pull the schematics out. So I've got the schematics up on the screen here. And the first thing we're going to do is just double check that we're getting our 5 volts out around this board. So we're going to just check the VCC pins of all the major components. Let's start with the CPU, the Zilog Z80. It is pin 11 on that. And there we are. That's fine. And then on IC2 and 3, it is pin 28. That's these two. Five volts is there where it needs to be. Next thing I want to check is the reset circuit. That's just these couple of components up here. And to do that, I finally get to break out the logic probe. I picked this up a while ago, and I had been after one for quite a while. I was very nearly going to buy one of the new wee cheap ones, but then I seen this classic Philips unit came up on eBay for the same sort of money, and just had to get it. So we need to power this off the board somewhere. Just needs 5 volts, and we'll just clip it onto, say, the leads of a couple of the capacitors like that. And when we power on, this should flash. Yep, that's okay. And the reset line, this should be high at the minute. And it is. But if I power cycle the machine, what we should see here, if this is working correctly, is that it would be low for a second and then go high. And that's exactly what we've seen there. So I think it's safe to say that the reset circuit is working fine. Let's do that one more time. So you can see it flash low and then go high. And I suppose just to be thorough, we can test it on, say, the likes of the Z80 here. The reset pin is 26. So that's 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. And if I just power cycle again, we should see the same behavior. Yeah, that's fine. Nothing wrong with reset. I think the next thing we should test is the clock, but for that we're going to need to use our scope. So let's see if we're getting a system clock. We're going to measure that on pin 6 of the Z80. I just need ground for this, so I'm just going to connect that onto the ground plane there. That'll do fine. Just let me double check. It's pin 6. Yes. We should be seeing a clock of 3.57 odd megahertz. So, powered on, and let's see what we get. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nothing. Absolutely no action whatsoever. I dare say that is our problem. So could it just be a bad crystal? Let's turn that off. Is that loose? Strange. Remember, this is the area where that can was fitted, and this was, you know, not soldered in place. That's wobbling there, but the solder joints aren't cracked. It looks like the can of that crystal itself is damaged. So I dare say that is bad. Where am I going to get one of those though? 53.2034 megahertz, I assume. If you just move this out of the way, actually, I do have another Master System. This is the main one out of my collection. And I suppose if it comes down to it, we could borrow the crystal out of this even, just to test. But just for the fun of it, let's just hook this one up and measure that pin 6 as well. Let's just see what it's doing. So this machine works, and we should hear the wee jingle. There it is there. And if we take a look at pin 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's our clock signal there, and it is measuring a frequency of 3.556 megahertz. And what did I say it should have been? 3.57, so that's fine, close enough. And I know that machine works anyway. So I will have to order a crystal for here. I mean, considering that the top of that is loose, I would assume the crystal itself is knackered. So I have to get one of those. But just for testing purposes, I think what I'll do is remove this can on this one, pull the crystal out of this, and then we'll stick it in that other board and see if this thing comes to life. Okay, new crystal is installed. There's the old one there, and it's actually the legs of it are loose. They're wobbling about and independent of each other. So I dare say the innards of this are just completely smashed. Hopefully that is the problem. But we need to test it, so let's hook up the power, let's hook up the AV, and let's see if it's going to work. Power on. Getting the signal. There's our jingle. Master System. Happy days. That seems to have fixed our little console. Let's try and load a game. Just connect up a joypad. And I thought we'd go with Tato Chase HQ. Software error. I assume that's just a dirty cartridge connector. It's got a lot of contact cleaner in there. Just put the cartridge on a few times. In fact, what you can do actually, get a bit of paper and just fold it up a few times. That's a nice tight fit. Just sort of rub that in there with the contact cleaner, obviously, and that'll help to clean the pins if there is any dirt on them. There's a bit of sort of dirt coming off that there, bit of oxidization off those pins, so definitely worth doing. And if we're just being thorough, spread a bit more contact cleaner on a cotton bud. Let's just go over the actual cartridge itself. Which is absolutely stinking. Look at that there. Any wonder it wasn't working. Right, let's try that again. And away it goes. That fixed it. Just needed cleaned. Let's have a quick game of Chase HQ. Yep, game was running fine, had to go right. Let's see if we can catch up to this guy. Knock him out. There he is. Oh no! And I've no turbos left. There he is. One more hit should do it. Come on. And there we are. So, seems like our little Master System is fixed. I'm just going to put it all back together in the case. Well, our little system is back together now. I give the case a bit of a clean, although there are a few scratches in the plastic, but that's to be expected considering its age. I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out. At least it's up and running again. Just needed that voltage regulator and a new crystal. I do have a couple of other crystals coming my way. So when we get that, one thing I thought I might have a go at is an NTSC/PAL mod for this console. Now you can just fit a switch internally to change between 50 and 60 Hertz, but if you want to do it right, you really need to have the two crystals as well. So I'll maybe have a look at doing that, because I do have both speeds of crystals on their way to me. But for now, that is this wee system finished. One other thing I'll have to get, by the way, is a few card games. I don't have any of those. As I said, growing up, my console was the Master System 2. It only uses the cartridges, so that's all I have really. And here's Afterburner. Always loved this game, although I could never really get anywhere in it. And I suppose the other thing I should really get is an RGB cable. I do have one for the Mega Drive, but it's the sort that takes the audio from the front of the Mega Drive, where it has the stereo jack on it. So I'd need to get one specifically for this to take the mono audio out of the back. But that is it for now. Hopefully you enjoyed this wee video. If you did, I would appreciate a thumbs up, as it does really help the channel. Why not subscribe if you haven't done so already? Still plenty more yet to come here on CRG, and I'll see you next time. I'm going to have a game of Afterburner.